Corruption is not a soft topic. It's a dark, nasty reality that plagues every aspect of Fijian life. From businesses to governments and right down to street level, corruption is definitely a black mark on the smiling face of Fiji.
We are mandated to eradicate corruption in Fiji. We have taken three approaches to that. The first approach is through investigation and prosecution. The second approach is education and awareness. And the third approach is prevention. Prevention is when we examine procedures and policies of government.
When FICAC receives a complaint, it comes to legal for our assessment, initial assessment. There we would analyze the complaint to see whether it falls under the FICAC promulgation, under any offence which we have the power to investigate and prosecute. So there is a filtering process when a complaint first receives by FICAC. When we observe, when we conclude that that particular complaint warrants an investigation by FICAC, we recommend that to the Deputy Commissioner, where the Deputy Commissioner gives the directions to the investigation to initiate the investigation. And thereafter it's also a process between investigation and legal, where they would seek our assistance in identifying the elements of the offence in order to do their investigation thoroughly. And after the investigation, they would submit the file to us for our assessment again. Then we would do a very thorough analysis to see whether the elements of any particular offence is satisfied, and then we take the decision to charge the person.
I currently hold the position as the Chief Commission Officer looking after the Central Division, and my responsibility and duties include overseeing the whole investigation operations within the Central Division. The investigation itself includes a lot of numerous processes. It's quite a long process, though. It starts off when we receive a complaint that has been approved by the Deputy Commissioner, a complaint that has been also being assessed by the legal department, and green light has been given for us to look into that particular complaint. That's how we kickstart an investigation. Before even we look into the matter proper, we normally prepare investigation plans, and that is being used by investigators as their guideline as they go along looking into or investigating into the matter. Those investigation plans are scrutinized by me, after which, upon discussion between myself and the manager investigation, on his approval, the investigation proper commences, and then it goes on from there.
That type of a complaint would warrant immediate action by the investigating team. So probably they would plan the investigation, and they would collect whatever the evidence possible, and sometimes they might arrest the accused or the suspect as well in the first instance, and then they would compile what they found out, the evidence, and send it to us for our assessment to see whether there is a charge for us to take that person or the case to the court.
Basically, investigation is sort of a fact-finding mission. So what we do is that we try and find out whether there's evidence to substantiate that particular allegation against a prominent person or any person who is being implicated in that matter. And what investigators do, they normally go out according to the investigation plan. They execute search warrants, they conduct searches at organizations where we feel that there are relevant documents that we need to obtain to support the fact that, or to clarify issues, those are brought in as source documents, and based on that we record statements from those organizations whom we feel would be able to tender those documents in court as evidence. We work closely with police on issues that we feel that that needs to be looked into by the police. It is sent over to them, and vice versa. If they feel that they have issues that we need to look into, it's being sent over to us. But in terms of search warrants, we have those powers provided for in the promulgation under Section 10.
Section 10 of the promulgation briefly states that an officer authorized on behalf of FICAC may arrest a person without a warrant. The penalty for corruption on bribery can range from 2 to 10 years imprisonment, with a fine ranging from $10,000 to as much as $1 million, depending on the severity of the crime.
FICAC is an organization who fights against corruption, and since it has been established, I think it's a good sign for everybody to know that if you are trying to do corruption, you better stop it, because they are really after people who are trying to cheat. And it's not only the public sector, it's private and public both they should focus on. I think this most highlighted now, it's only the public sector. This corruption also might be happening in the private sector too.
For the people, for the community, the understanding of this, concept called corruption. What is corruption to them differs. To them, non-payment of FNPF is corruption. Non-payment of wages, non-payment of overtime, that is corruption. That is to them. That is their definition.
We're not touching the private sector, but we will also touch the private sector if there is some link in investigations with government. When we carry out awareness programs to the various communities around the country, we are getting positive responses.
In this department, community relations and corruption prevention, we have two sections, the prevention section and the awareness section.
Prevention is when we examine procedures and policies of government, and then we advise department heads on possible loopholes which could be conducive to corrupt practices, and we've been doing that quite well.
I deal with the prevention of corruption. The way we function, this particular section that's governed by Section D and F of the FICAC promulgation, where we need to advise certain heads of government changes into their policies or procedures in order to address situations which are conducive to corruption. The prevention department section was just established in August last year. So you see, it's a very short span of time where we have been getting into prevention. Every organization have their own policies, their own procedures, have their own code of conduct. Say, for example, you are working in the judicial, and then you are transferred to PWD. That's a whole change of environment. The ethics, the values of the two organizations are different. So, sometimes when you get people to be transferred to other departments, it's quite important for you to educate that person, to train that person again on what is the new organization values, ethics, what is he required to do, what is he accountable to, the difference in the way he would conduct himself when he was in judicial and in PWD. You need to retrain that person again, get him exposed, re-exposed, to a new whole set of values and ethics.
If a person continues to come back maybe 3, 4, 5 times, so that means maybe there's something wrong with the policies of that particular organization. So what we will do, we will try to discuss with them. That is the action of our prevention team. And then our awareness, our education team will definitely follow.
in conducting anti-corruption training to those officers within that particular organization. That is how, these two sections, the education and our prevention team, they really have to integrate in our approach in this fight against corruption, or educating and training people.
Inda pakai na daw willing isumuti nga. Moto pakai itu makan ako sa wala yung culture science. Nung dito mo man ko kami na daw ngalo tu pero posto nga review taki nakanga sa tuno mer na wali series mo maten tu sa andon. Liban na daw rin kaya ni rawa na nakara nakawa. Naging domingan to kaya nakanga na bondongan naging dumabita mo ta tu kino kaya na lang kaya na batitano.
During workshops, they have admitted that there is a clash between our culture and the culture of the organization. First of all, they have to understand that they have a culture. I have a culture as a public officer. All of us, we have our own cultures. And I have my own organization. And my organization itself has its own organizational culture. I have to comply with the policies of my organization, of my department, because I'm not in the village. I'm employed in that organization which has its own values. I have to adopt and adapt the values of the organization that I work in. Organizational values, it is a corruption prevention tool. When I comply with the policies of my organization, values are embedded in those policies. Value is just a one word, integrity. But in a code of conduct is a sentence. One of the things that we have observed is a dissemination of information from those in headquarters here in the urban, to reach those public officers out there in the rural. There is, I can say, an information gap. So when these officers in the rural, when they lack that information, and that knowledge is power, information is power. So when they lack that knowledge because they were not aware of certain policies that exist even within the organization. For example, the giving policy. Some of those officers in the rural areas, they said, I haven't read the giving policy, but it was there, I think, since 2005.
In PSC have their gifting policy, and they have the whistleblowing policy. These are all policies that are related to the prevention of corruption. Gifting policy, even I can say, with confidence that normally when we go out for awareness training, when we go out to government stations that are away from the super area, when you ask some of the civil servants, from those government stations, have you ever read the gifting policy? Do you know what's in the policy? They would look, they are lost. Some of them even, will show you impressions that tells you that they haven't even had the time to sit down and read these policies and understand, why is it even there at the first place.
Most of our cases, we actually investigate intelligent people, because these are the intelligent lot who use their intelligence for the wrong purpose to commit offences, right? So the challenge is not easy to understand the scheme these people use in committing the offence. And then when it comes to leading evidence in court, it's more challenging for us to lead the evidence so that the assessors and the judge understands what this person did in committing the offence.
Directors, supervisors, managers, they are the ones who are taking advantage of, I think, the loose policies and regulations that are put in place in those government departments. And having that opportunity, they grab that opportunity and make use of it for their own personal gain. It's purely ignorance and greed. that forces them to actually commit the offense of bribery or corruption in general.
Because they would somehow they would try their best to erase there any evidence or the traces. So it's difficult to actually track these evidence and collect those evidence and really apprehend the offense.
For the Central Division, for my division, we have 10. It's about 10 investigators, and I believe the Eastern Division has about 12, and well, a total for FICAC, a total of 28 to 29 investigators altogether. Initially, we had FICAC had recruited police officers with the experience just to kickstart the investigation department, but during the years we have now focused on recruiting people with specialized fields, people with accounting backgrounds, land use management, and other fields of which they have graduated from at university level. FICAC is now moving towards the trend of recruiting more financial investigators, people with accounting background, for the fact that corruption does involve a lot of figures and amounts of money that runs into hundreds and thousands and millions that have been investigated by FICAC. From the establishment, from the time FICAC was established until now, there has been a lot of cases, I would say numerous of cases being investigated.
The strategy that I took for the first 5 years, the first 5-year plan comes to an end this year. The first 5 years was all about developing the organization. It was more or less into quantity over quality. We had to prove ourselves. We had to pump out cases.
Central Division for the year 2012, it's approximately 12 for the first quarter. We have cases to investigate 4 quarters. We have targeted outcomes that we need to produce at the end of the first quarter, second, third, fourth. So for the first quarter, we have the number of cases that have been directed for our division, the Central Division, to look into and investigate.
When we started FICAC in 2007, we have taken about 107 accused cases to court, and about 58 cases have been concluded, and at the moment we have about 43 cases pending. And this year we target to take more cases, conclude more investigations, and take more cases to court.
We have those sort of cases too. Some people who have been in the position for quite a long time feel that it's become a norm when you ignore the set procedures or policies in place, you deviate from that. It's become a norm, probably because it has been happening for the last how many years, and FICAC coming into existence and penalizing people on those issues have actually, it's sort of like a wake-up call to all the government or government workers, thinking, oh no, it's not supposed to have been done this way. Even some of the suspects or people who we question, they say that, oh, this is a norm, it's been happening. Other people have been doing it in the past, We come hard on them. We're trying to cut off that sort of mentality that people have in the government, in government department.
With FICAC, it's all about marketing your services. The returns we're looking at is that the people are happy and satisfied with what they're getting. You don't expect a person who owns a junk car and takes it to LT and expect it to be passed. That won't happen. They no longer come across people that jump the queue and getting things done their way by, with these under the table dealings. That has minimized.
Any day, anyone can come up with any allegations. And there you are. If that day comes in, it will set off a spark for FICAC to come in and carry out the investigation.
FICAC is here to stay, and I believe that the support of the people with FICAC, and they need to rethink if they're intending to commit any corruption or any crime, corrupt-related offense. And the FICAC eye is always out there looking at them from somewhere. And if they're intending to do or to commit any offense or corrupt offense, then they better think twice. Because the message now travels, the information travels very fast. And we have experienced that in the past, that information, even before the offense takes place, the information comes to us. So for those would-be offenders out there, if they're thinking of committing corruption, they better think again.